Nouns. Only one of these teams can make it through to Sunday, can continue their run on the road to Rio, and for Imperial yesterday came down to the wire.
It really did.
Last night, a battle. They got to do it again, John.
Yeah, and they struggled against Team 1 and Inferno. Had to go to overtime just to get the win, right? It was a nice little comeback that they pulled together, but still, this wasn't their best map. So we're going to go on here and see what Nouns can do. There are two things I'm expecting from Nouns. One is that Sixy is going to have his best series of this entire event. And the other thing is that George is going to continue his top form. He had 100 frags against Oplano. It was an unbelievable performance in that comeback. They were down 12-3 on map 2, came back, won that, and then took the last.
We've seen a ton of growth over the course of this event for this Nouns team. I mean, George is the youngest player on a young team, a team that has never had the opportunity to come over here and compete before at this kind of an event. Vinny going to connect some shots out. Found the first, but he is encircled under major threat. Good damage being done from the site players, but the site itself is lost. A bomb plant guaranteed, and now into the post. All the Imperial players are coming from the same side. They could adjust some players around towards short. They have a fair chunk of utility, so smoke into the back of a teammate. Ooh. That's one wasted. They have another to spare, but can't be using this utility willy-nilly. George starting to punish. He looks for the killing blow. That he won't find. But Cynic polishes it off, finishes what his teammate started, and that's going to be a pissed round and a nice start here for the Nouns.
Correction, actually. Imperial lost yesterday, of course, in overtime.
Yes, they did, at 19-16.
Yes, that was what happened, and of course, that's why I think Nouns picked into it. Of course, Nouns also very strong in Inferno themselves, 8-1 over the last 3 months. This is their bread and butter. So we'll see if they can come through and take this map. And in my opinion, Mike, I do believe, and I agree with the desk here, that it will be a 3-map series, but I disagree with Maui that Vertigo will be a struggle for Nouns because they've actually been pretty strong on it over the last 3 months. I don't know. I
thought it was going to be the pick, to be honest with you. Yeah. We haven't seen a lot of it from Imperial lately. Okay, here we go. A 1-for-1 exchange early on, but that does put Cello's rifle down. They committed the big gun straight down mid, and it was punished. And now, Fur following into the grave means that this is already a wounded defense for Imperial on the force buy. That nade could be chunky.
Yeah, tossed down. Cynic, not as chunky as it could have been. Cynic down to 66, but he's the only one that takes damage from it. 60. Spamming on through. I think the player to watch here, he always tends to perform in these types of situations when the team's life is on the line.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, I feel like we're in sort of a privileged position when it comes to a lot of these North American squads where we cover them so constantly and so frequently that we've really come to know a lot of these players pretty well. And 60's a guy who's gotten some attention for some difficulties, some struggles, some maturity issues in the past. Yeah. But it does feel like in these last 6 months since rejoining this roster, I feel like we've seen 60 grow up a lot, which is it's cool to see. I mean, even at this event, talking to him before this game goes live or went live, he was talking about their matchup last night and saying that it's a different experience when you're at this event and when you see what the loss means to your opponents. You know, it's not the sweetness of victory is there, but there's definitely a little bit of little tinge of sadness to it. And that's the kind of statement that you just would never have gotten from 60 a year ago.
Yeah, there's no question. I think even before he joined the team was when he started to kind of mature and get right up to the level we kind of were hoping he would, because there was a time we were saying, well, he's got all the talent, but it just, is that maturity ever going to hit? Is it ever going to happen that he'll be able to settle himself down? And it appears as though yes is that answer.
It's been interesting as well because in this roster, right, he hasn't necessarily been the focused player.
Right.
That's also been a shift. Previously, we were always looking at rosters built around him, around enabling his fragging. And in this one, he's at times taken more of a backseat. B-Wills, George, that's where we've looked for the firepower to come from. It hasn't always needed to be 60 in the spotlight. And B-Wills and George have really stepped up into their roles. And I'm just so very pleased by how quickly this young roster has developed. It can't be understated. This guy standing behind them right there, sunglasses on, guns at the ready. Semphis, I honestly had my doubts when he came into this roster about how much impact he was going to be able to have. It's been tremendous.
I mean, they were just a ragtag group of players before that, taking all their wins just based purely off of individual skill. It wasn't necessarily about teamwork, and he made an entire shift in that direction, in that mentality, which wasn't easy to do. And there were the speed bumps along the way, right? It's just moments where you weren't sure if they'd be able to pick things up as the nade's going to connect here onto Fallen. And yeah,
down how to play right off the rip.
They're so much more cohesive now, and it's obviously let them elevate to another level.
We've seen the fruits of their labor here. Imperial, meanwhile, we've known what they can do. We've known what they can do for a long time, many a year from these players. The addition of Cello, that was supposed to be the piece that just took them over the line. All the effort directed towards this goal. Qualification to the Rio Major. But they got to do it here. They got to survive, even just for a chance, John. Just for a chance.
Absolutely.
A storied roster. I mean, we talked endlessly about them last night as well.
Yeah.
In that brawl of a series against Team One, and it's been a while since they competed at this level of North American CS, right? And so these are new names, these are new faces. Your George Snorts, your B Wills, your Cynics.
Just going by George now, though.
Just going by George. I can't let it go. I did find out why. Apparently, when he first made the name, he was 12. That's because he snorted when he laughed. Most innocent possible reason for that name.
Oh,
Advantage. The flower pot boost is good, but the trade is better. Jazz Pimp collecting through the smoke, and well, there's nothing doing here for Imperial. They had the right setup. They had the right call. Not so much the exact.
Yeah, not much invested into the round. Just a half buy coming through from Imperial, and well, that's going to be pretty much it. Cello's got a deagle, some body armor, but nothing else to work with. So maybe just going to try for some peaks, keep them on the bomb site, something along those lines. But it's going to take a heroic effort to get himself back into this one, not to mention find the round victory. Gives a chance to highlight Fur, who has... Oh, hold on a second. Cello's going to get the headshot on Jasmine. Still no time, but nice shot. Anyway, just want to highlight Fur, who's been incredible throughout the road to Rio here. 93.2 ADR coming into this one. Leads the team with a 1.49 impact rating and also leads the team with 147 frags.
And last night, he was talking to Heku about it. Yeah, his mouse broke right before the game.
Unreal.
The same mouse he's used since 2016. So maybe it was time for an upgrade, apparently.
I mean, he was doing well before that, but it didn't phase him at all.
No.
As mentioned, 75 frags, led the board there as well against Team One, and there were some moments where he was just taking control of the entire match.
Yeah, he's locked in. He is very much dialed in. Haven't seen it yet, but it is incredibly early days here.
Yes.
We are looking to him to be a menace. Typically playing as that second player in towards B. Ideally, Imperial want to leave Bolt solo after the initial utility salvo. But in this round, well, the fight's coming in so quick, there is no way to leave Bolt alone. Oh, it's going to be 2 down. The second player down, eliminated. 60 strong on the entries. Might get caught here. Cello does, in fact, do so. But Cello will have to give up the ground. B is lost.
Oh, Cello trying to fight back into this one, burning a little bit in the Molotov. They definitely hurt him. George going to peek around the corner and spray him down to the ground. Vinny and Fallen last two standing. They are going to back off here. Vinny's hoping to connect on something, but it's just in a fadeaway attempt as now it's going to be 4-0 for Nouns. What a take, and 60. I told you, keep an eye out for him. He is going to be very impactful in this series, and there he goes, finally finding entries, 2 of them in fact, and it's not like he's not going for them throughout the road to Rio. He's had 24.1% of the attempts, but only a 29.3% success rate, not the usual 60 that we're used to seeing, but that changed at least here in this round.
Absolutely done. I mean, explosive play, right?
Yeah.
Imperial's first gun round, they got an idea of how they want to play it. They've got their setups. You saw they bring 3 players over towards B to try and put that utility down to get Bolts into position. We saw him run that sandbag position against Team 1 a few times last night, but he can't even get settled. Just the insta-delete, roaring into it. Oh, great timing. Molotov down, no fear here for 60. And that's going to be a real hot start. They know how important that early rounds are.
Another thing that's good for Nouns is that Cynic is hitting his rhythm early, already up to 5 frags. We talked about him switching to the IGL role. It's been a little more difficult for him to get those frags on the board, but he is an important piece in that regard, especially considering he is their primary opper as well.
Yeah. And, I mean, historically, a player who's played a lot of lurky roles hasn't had that same ability, that same freedom. Now that he's in-game leading, they're keeping him more towards the middle of the pack, and it's been tough. It's been tough to find the space. I mean, redefining yourself as a player while figuring out taking the reins, it's a lot of responsibility. But I think this roster has been an opportunity for a lot of players to redefine their roles, right?
Yes.
To find themselves as a player in a different sense. And again, I think that's something where we do have to look to Memphis in terms of bringing that experience, bringing that sort of old guard CSXP, and helping translate it to this new generation.
And teaching them how to handle themselves, both in-game and publicly.
Definitely. Ooh, damage down. Cello's tagged up. That's unconfirmed damage, but
that's confirmed.
Gonna make them nervous here. George had a pretty good idea that boost was coming through, and all right. No kill just yet, but Imperial put on notice. 30 seconds, though, John. Time is going to be a big issue here.
Oh, yes, indeed. They don't really have control in either direction, so they're just going to have to pick a site and full send at 23 seconds now. Yeah.
That flashbang, that one flashbang is enough to pull the rotation from Fur. They're wary of a fast B play.
Site, though.
It is a good hit, and it's a good crossfire as well. These kills are going to have to be fast and furious. No time, no margin for error. 1-for-1. Do they take out the Balk? The bomb is down. No time to spare. Vinny dealt with.
7 seconds.
But he found his. They need this kill. They have to plant. They don't have time. The round's been lost. No. They do not have time for it. The damage done, but no chance to actually win here for the Nouns. A round on the board for Imperial.
Oh my goodness. They got everything right in terms of the frags, but the bomb was lost in the mix on the ground. No one had it in their hands, and by the time they realized that, there's only 2 seconds left, and well, Imperial do manage to pick up one. It wasn't pretty, but a round victory is a round victory, and they will certainly take it. Thing is, look at the money situation, Mike. They won the round. They are stuck on 2 MP9s of Hamas and 2 A1Ss. That is not good. Meanwhile, Nouns still have plenty of money in the bank. They got the AKs coming out. Even Jazz Pimp rocking the A1S. Early on in the round, 60, hanging around bottom of Banana. Quick switching back and forth, but not really firing away too much. A little bit of utility used early on, but that's it. Imperial now gain control of Banana completely by throwing that deep smoke, and as a result, Fur will push down right into logs.
Heavy Apartments control. It's going to be a test of this A setup again. Last time they found the antidote, they just didn't have the time to actually piece the round together. So this time, they can replicate the success. Who's to say? The problem is this flank down Banana is going to be much quicker to activate with Fur already tucked in towards the log pile. You'd imagine as soon as they start to detect presence A, they might make the move, which is why 60 for the time being is holding back. On the smoke fade, a little bit of flash, a little bit of peek, a little bit of info. Drawing out another Molotov, holding these players in place, and now a T-side smoke. Keeps them in doubt. Vinny, though, what a timing to go forth and get a kill. They needed something. Imperial knew they were being denied information and things were getting precarious. Oh, right. Okay, they're going to go in towards B. The bomb can't get caught, but it's actually just the wrap A. Where are they going? Where do they actually want to finish here? Cello has the chance, if he can drop the bomb, to absolutely ruin this round here for the Nouns. Great shot on. The bomb slipped his grasp. It's going to be around the corner. That's all they need. They know there's still Banana presence. No, he catches just in the nick of time. Cello may have just completely dismantled this round. One player remaining, George. Out of time, out of chances, out of opportunity.
Oh, that was so very close for Nouns. They managed to slip on past Cello's vision, but he had an idea, an inkling that someone had headed towards that B site, given how much presence, of course, Nouns had at Arch. And eventually, yes, he does catch off the bomb carrier before they can get to the site, and that was the killing blow. So, Nouns don't get anyone out of that round, and, well, they still have enough money to buy up here, though, Mike.
Timeout coming in very early here. And that makes sense, right? Because you're the last couple, you've basically had the right idea. You haven't had the timing. The execution's where it's fallen apart. Before they ran out of clock, this time they get caught by Cello coming out of the library. So it's little things, and they know that you don't have a stability enforced on the CT side just yet. So if you can clean up those little things early, pressure's very much on for Imperial. This round is important for them.
Notice that Sixy was the one doing most of the talking during that timeout. Cynic and Sempus quiet, so perhaps he has an idea, and I think...
Sempus was definitely getting active in the back line there. He was starting out there.
Okay.
But, yes, 60 definitely putting some thoughts in. For now, they're going to hold the bottom Banana, wait out the util. That nade doesn't actually do that much. And Apps Control once again conceded. Last time Imperial went for a timely push up the hall, found themselves the opener. And that's what started things off for the Brazilian squad. This time, seem like they're content to stay outside.
Nouns not really fighting for Banana too much. just content, as you mentioned, just to stay on the outside here. Nade's going to fly through it, just burning through a lot of utility on the Imperial side, so have to be careful to pace that well as the smoke comes in for Arch side. Fur going to be behind it. Got a teammate in Cubby. That is Cello, and eventually gets sprayed down through the smoke by George, tracking where those shots were coming from, thanks to one connecting on his person, and that's going to trigger Cello to leave that position over in Cubby and fall back to a more conservative spot here at Arch side. The thing is, Nouns, they get that frag, but they're not getting too over-aggressive here at this A site. They're taking their time.
They got the kill on Fur, too. That's actually huge information because he's typically the secondary B player. And so you likely know there was only one top banana, and with some utility shown there, they actually dragged the rotator around. Surprised they're focusing in on A here, but Fallen, one and a lot of damage, a lot of info. Problem is, Vinny can't stay alive in pit. That was the key. They had to get something out of the pit position. Cello's going to try a desperate spray, but without that finding fruit, it's going to be a save for Imperial. The money never stabilized. And that's now it's cracking through the round. They had a few here on the A site, right? They felt like they were so close. Here's the payoff.
Yeah, it all starts with a nice pick onto Fair. As mentioned, George following where he got shot from and just spamming the common angle. Very nicely done on his part. And once that happens, well, Nouns just eventually decide to send it all the way forward onto the A side. Now they're going to chase quite aggressively. In fact, they want to try and punish the economy of Imperial, as all three players grouped up together, hoping that a trade will come to fruition should they spot someone out. But at the end of the day, they don't see anyone, so they're just going to chill out in the apartments here. Have a cup of tea, wait for the next round to get started.
What kind of tea you think they drink on the Noun side with those glasses on?
Some black tea.
I mean, they are all wearing black tees right now, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
There you go. They're in uniform. I do like those glasses.
They're very nice.
Can't say I exactly understand the scenario with Nouns. Not super hip on the Web3 shenanigans. But, hey, love to have them here. Happy to have them supporting NACS. Glad that Nouns had the opportunity for a boot camp ahead of this. Huge opportunity for these players. Fallen.
Oh,
he's got it. B-Will's completely isolated. That one's a freebie. The aggression apartments pays off here for Imperial. It's not two times they've gone looking at apartments and found a kill. So far, so good on the controlled pushes from Imperial.
Yeah. Something we're also seeing on the Noun side is not really going to that op on T side Inferno, which is a common strategy to take. But Bolts is going to get the frag onto George. Then a second on 60 as he's just trying to get himself into construction. Now a 5v2. They're just trying to plant them off. I don't think they'll be able to. Wow, what a frag from Jasmine to protect his bomb planter. There we go. As Fallen is going to get the frag onto him, and only Cynic left standing in a 1v4. Still possible, but the odds are stacked against him.
The world shrinks. Time is everything. The round isn't the only thing. Damage is also vital, but if this peek comes from Banana, yeah, well done. Waiting for Vinny to be in position to be the first prong of that assault. That's well handled by Imperial. In control from start to finish. They get the opening pick, the op in apartments, and they're very controlled in the defensive B. The change up here was they went a lot more passive, right? They didn't contend for Banana. They moved Bolts further back after the initial salvo of utility, and that meant that Nouns didn't get the fight they were looking for on the initial push into site.
But it was also the aggression of Fallen that kicked things off, right? That op shot, so snappy, so very good with it. But you're right, Bolts takes a more passive approach, gets himself a 2K, and after that, it's all Imperial. At least Nouns, I mean, surprisingly, honestly, salvage a bomb plant out of that, thanks to that frag from Jazz Pimp. But outside of that, just have to settle for the additional $800 in the bank account. Does indeed help the buy up here. I mean, pretty much full utility and the AKs across the board once more. Imperial, though, are fighting their way back into this CT side, and 60 looking to change the fortunes here for Nouns. Flashbang thrown in, looking for that entry, and he goes down for the count. Fur just overloading him with A1S bullets.
Fur was such a key piece for Imperial last night, and he's been kept in check so far, but if he starts to heat up on those kills on Banana, only one immediately answered. It's George who is the hero for the other side in their matchup, and that has not slowed down. 8 kills. We're in 9 rounds and make that 9 for 9. Okay, George on a bit of a tear to start this off. Double entry towards B. Cello has withdrawn in towards the back of site, but a smoke up on cross means Fallen can't help. help him out much. Cello burning, trying to stay alive. The flashes at least buy him time, allow him to relocate to the pillar, and Cello will make good on that. But only for one. Advantage found for Nouns, and with the money being what it is, does Imperial want to risk this?
I don't think so. Oh man, credit to Nouns. They have been fighting tooth and nail, staying in this one, and Imperial haven't been able to get that foothold. And a large part of it, like you mentioned at the beginning of the round, Fur has kind of been shut down over at Banana, isolated to one and dones every single time. And that's only 3 frags for him so far in 9 rounds of play. George doing a heavy lifting into this one with the 3K. I already talked about him. He has top fragged pretty much every single map that Nouns has played. He has been the fire starter. 6-3 for Nouns as they double up on Imperial. Great T-side already, Mike.
It really is. It really is. And it's awesome to see for George, right? Young player, relatively inexperienced, not a ton of LAN XP. He's played some Fragadelphias, but it's not like he was around back in the days of the global challenges.
No.
He's not really been able to do too much in person. So in this kind of a moment, in this kind of a spotlight, in this kind of a situation, the fact that he, as the least experienced player, is stepping up like this, so exciting.
Absolutely is.
Just a young lad of 19.
Yeah, actually, on Fragadelphia, his performance wasn't as impressive as it is here, so maybe that gave him the experience, right, to perform well on LAN here.
That's really just NA's collective boot camp, apparently.
Yes, exactly.
And Imperial have been having to fight their way through the Fragadelphia talent. I mean, they already took out Team 1, but here's the next hurdle. And he overwhelmed in the pit. He stayed alive for a while, but now that position is compromised. That means Cello's on notice. The secondary op, that was the change-up in this one for Imperial.
Oh, Bolts.
Bolt's a blind shot. That helps out his teammate, and Cello's somehow staying alive in the smokes. There we go. That drops the bomb. There's still a minute to play with, but at this point, all the reinforcements are here, and Nouns, they've been painted into a corner. A really tough spot to fight out of. It's going to have to be Cynic. It's going to have to be George to make something magic happen here. Cynic, once the smokes fade, he's going to go looking. Does Cello expect him up in the graveyard? Well, he does now, for sure, but there's the kill. They don't have a ton of utility to make this happen.
For Fallen and Bolts, too.
You're right. It's viable, and they don't have a molly on their side to clear out the pit, so George's position is one of strength. This peek from the balcony could be everything. That's going to be fair. And that makes it a little easier. Position, indeed, very effective. 20 seconds. George knows he has to go forward for a fight, and the timing will catch him off. Too many directions to look, so that is Imperial finding a critical defensive round.
Yeah, it was a hard-fought, good smokes, in fact, tossed by Imperial onto the site to guise off Cello's position and make things a lot harder for the Nouns side in order to spot out those frags. And of course, Cello is able to deliver thanks to a frag from Bolts as well. And George, as the last one standing, just couldn't do anything else. So Imperial, at the very least, like you said, an important round victory comes through, and they also keep 3 players standing. So it's a little bit of an economic boost, but they're going to need a lot more than that because they had to help their teammates buy up as well. Still a frail economy, and I guess Nouns recognizing that are going to go for the forest buy here with the 4 techs and the hero AK coming through from George.
Well, we know what they can do with the pistols as well.
We do. They're very solid.
Ferocious team, explosive. We've already seen it this map. But without the bomb plant, the rifles are limited. Imperial have the heavy A lean at the moment. This time they'll put Fallen up on the half wall. This is the shift up. Bolt's moving over towards A, putting that single op in the hands of Fallen to zone out Banana. That does give you a lot of potency. At 6, he's just holding to see if he goes looking. 55 seconds. It seems like it's going to be maybe a bit of a hall pop up. Play up short, just trying to overwhelm.
Yeah, they're just waiting for the right opportunity to toss those smokes and utility. They were waiting for the 50-second mark, in fact, and here they come. This is where the push is going to come for Nouns as they come right on in.
In the pit.
Player in the pit. B-Wills does manage to trade him out, though. Cello still standing, and then B-Wills gets a second. Georgia third. This is all Nouns and the round indeed. I don't know. Maybe Fur wants to fight in a little bit before he gives up on this, and he does, but indeed, Mike, you're right. That is the round. They're going to fall off.
Oh, that's a gut punch onto Imperial. That's catastrophic. 7 rounds on the board for Nouns. This was your chance to make good on your CT side. They just had pistols, but the explosive play on towards A, Imperial keep getting caught. They just can't hold on. They can't withstand. Just straightforward execute, you know, set up all the nades, hold on to mid, wait for the 50-second mark, throw and go. Throw and go, but it is effective. And now these 2 guns, they need to be held on to. Fallen can't keep that up, but it's just going to be fair. He should limp through at the very least, but this is a bit disastrous, a bit catastrophic late in the half. Smiles on the faces of the Nouns players. They know what that means. They just broke that cash.
Six is really happy with that.
Timeout going to come through. I'd imagine this is from Imperial.
Has to be.
Gives a chance for a little bit of extra joy. And oh, there we go. There's the shoulder massage.
Yes.
Keep the beast warmed up.
Oh, man. That was costly for Imperial, too. As you mentioned, the op goes down in 60. I mean, he was hunting for the last 2, but he's more playing sentry around the op to make sure it cannot be recovered by the last remaining player on Imperial.
And I mean, this is one of those moments where we have to remind people of the different expectations for these 2 squads.
Oh, yes.
Frankly, for Nouns, they've already made good. Getting 2 wins here was a great showing. This is a better Nouns than most people expected to see at this event. Meanwhile, for Imperial, anything short of qualification would be heartbreak.
I think this is 60's second sniff at a major, right? The first time.
Close.
Yeah, it got really close. Unfortunate circumstances that we won't go into. But
alarm clocks.
Yes, alarm clocks need to be set, guys. Just make sure of that, honestly. But yeah, now he's back in it again. Another opportunity, and probably really pumped up at the chance to go 3-2. It's been back and forth, Mike. There hasn't been a round win streak since round number 6 when Imperial got 2 in a row. Since then, both teams exchanging rounds.
I think Nouns are perfectly happy with that scenario.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Keep it wild, keep it messy. And they'll go back to the bread and butter of what's worked so far. Apartments control, presence towards A, holding back on the banana approach, seeing if something's going to go through. Someone's going to come looking. For the moment, 60 might just give it a little poke and a prod. There's the setup. Is Fur actually up on the half wall? Or is he playing behind it off of the logs contact? No, he's up. So bolts will try and swing and activate. These are the 2 guns, right? These are the 2 rifles, which means this site is soft. Cello gone, full whited off of it. There's nothing that he could get from it. Now Vinny, the only real threat, and he's got a 5-7 to try and hold the line.
Oh.
1. Only 1. And with 60 still holding in towards mid, this rifle's about to be collected. That's 1 taken out of play. He might get caught. He will eventually, but Fur will just have to try and save this gun.
Yep. Same mission as the last round. Just save that gun. Thing is, Imperial did force up into this one, and their money's going to be tough because it has been very back and forth. That last one is not built up, so the next one likely going to just be pistols, which makes this A1S even more important. But yeah, I want to talk about Cynic a little bit. Something we've always noted in the past is he's good in pretty much every single role, and taking over the IGL role now, he's also making sure that those flashes are on point for his team throughout the IEM Road Trio Americas. 0.76 flashbangs thrown per round and a plus 0.76 differential in terms of flash time versus time spent flashed, and also 0.85 enemies flashed per flash. That's very solid stats coming through from him, and you saw him again there doing the work with the util supporting his teammates.
The engine of the team, though, it's George, man. 15
for
kills,
sure.
2 more in that round, 15 and 5. They can't kill it. Give him his fist bump. Give him his fist bump. Oh, Cynic's not going to give him his fist bump.
Cynic's really focused.
I think we might have a... No, not a break here. Not a break here. I don't know what that was about. Got to give him his fist bump. Keep the energy up.
Maybe Cynic's just trying to stay calm.
All I'm saying is if George whiffs in this round, it's because he didn't get the fist bump. Calling it right now. Synergy on point. That's what you need. Aggression in towards the apartments. This has worked out for Imperial at times, but they've had better buys in those times. And this time they'll put the 2 USPs around the rifle to try and maximize its impact. That lineup is for if a player hops over onto the balcony. Fur's ready for it. He's going to catch.
Fur gets spotted, and he does catch one, Mike. Beeble's going to go down. I'd be surprised. Yeah, I was going to say they're probably going to move away from this at this point, and they absolutely do. They have to be careful, though. Bolt's waiting with the P250, and he does collect one. That's a gun down as well. He's going to try and recover it, but he can't. George manages to get that trade, an important one. That means that they'll have a path into the site, and the gun can be thrown on over, and that's exactly what they're going to do. A micro play there. They just want to make sure Imperial doesn't have access to it on the retake.
Okay, so fist bump, or lack thereof, not slowing him down, but the post plane is going to be critical. This is now a chance for Imperial to get back into this game. They know the opportunity that's been presented to them, the slim advantage, one flashbang through. That doesn't catch, but it does force players off of their shots. And George means that the backstab is going to come in. The cross is going to be dangerous. A player in pool with just a USP, but oh my goodness, Vinny. Oh my goodness. Time is of the essence. Cello, I don't think he can win this on the clock. There is actually a kit down. There's a world where he does this.
No.
But that world, it's flying out of orbit. And at this point, well, it did get shaky. It did get a little scary. It's still going to be a round win for Nouns. New bomb?
No.
Nope. No up for you.
He tried a valiant effort to try and keep that off, but no, new bomb, too powerful here on Inferno. And again, George popping off for the 3K Mike fist bump or not. He is focused in and ready to go here in this BO3, as he has been, again, throughout the entirety of the IEM Road to Rio. All right. We're heading into round number 14, but this half has already been won by Nouns. It's a fantastic T side. They're looking to get double digits, and Imperial have just been reeling. They cannot find a rhythm, and that's hurt them immensely because they can be a very streaky team.
Yeah, absolutely can. They've looked in the past, last night certainly, for big performances from Fur and Fallen, and they've just not been there.
No.
They have not been there, and look at this. A long control already taken, a play over towards short. 60 lives, and he finds some damage. A 1-for-1 advantage still here for Imperial. Critical positions, Beebles puts pass. Fallen trying to bring this in, expose himself to Jaspim, and there's the cleanup. Imperial on first blush, it looked good, but so quickly did it fall apart. And at this point, they might have to save. Just for the last round. Bomb's not down yet. Bolt has a gap. He's going to go through straight to his death. Just one player remaining. He thought he had an opportunity, but it was a honeyed trap. George finds his second of the round. His 20th kill of this first half already on the board. Wow. And double digits are going to be on the board for Nouns.
Oh my goodness.
A North American ESL Challenger League team here on the road to Rio.
Wow, it's been something else. What a start for them. As I think there's some frustrations boiling over there. You saw Bolts going for it. Even Fur, you could feel his blood boiling. I really want to try and throw this Molotov and charge into the site and assert my will. But in the end, he says, nope, pull back, save the gun. That's more important as our money is just so very bad going into this 15th and final round of the half. And still on the Nouns side, you've seen some smiles here and there, but they're calm, cool, and collected. They know the battle has only just begun. And this was just such a great play, right? Fallen was trying to support, and I thought he was going to be able to do it, but he misses the player on balcony. I believe that was Jaspimp, and then eventually goes down to him.
And to be fair for Imperial, we've seen many a comeback. Many a comeback from some of these former major champions. Tenacity is their watchword, but one more round would make them feel a whole lot better about the possibility of pulling one of those out.
Yeah, and something we've seen a lack of from Imperial is just that aggression that worked for them. I think it was in their 4th round victory, something along those lines, where Fallen pushed out, got the op frag, but since then, they've been very quiet, very patient, very calm on each site, but it's just not yielding them anything.
A boost up, it's watched for, but 6-y slow. 6-y slow, Fur gets on top of that one.
They needed that.
They could chase this. There's not a ton of utility on the CT side. They can't really slow this down, but thankfully for Imperial, it doesn't come through. Instead, Cello dropped on the other side. That was a good chunk of the util remaining. This is still very much in doubt. Now, just on the bridge to B, the last stand may come through. Fur holding the line. Bolts to play off of him with the SMG. And 50 seconds hits the clock.
Fur has the smoke ready to be thrown. Crossfire is set up with Bolts. Smoke comes in here for the bomb site on the Noun side, so they're going to leave CT open for the time being. but they have not yet committed. 32 seconds left. Time is ticking away. There comes another smoke. That one's for Coffins, and there is the CT smoke in the end. So they're smoking off every single angle. And eventually the push has to come. 22 seconds now. Bolt's ready and waiting. Has the MP9 out. Hits a shot onto George. Can't get the follow-up. Cynic keeps it even in a 3v3. And now Jasmine gives him the advantage. 13 seconds left. So low. Some spam could be punishing here. But Fur cannot connect. Finally does. There's one extra second.
No.
Bomb plant denied. This one's going to go to Imperial.
That's it. The clock getting the best of Nouns once again. A 5th round found at the very least as Fur hangs on. They may be a part of speech, they may be a plucky group of underdogs, but this team of 5 Nouns have found double digits on the T side of Inferno. Imperial reeling, unable to get logged into the server. but they've done just enough to give themselves a chance to fight back here, John.
Oh, yeah. I mean, getting that last round was so very critical, and Nouns just couldn't get that bomb planted before the smoke faded, and the low HP players were ripe for the picking for Furs. So, yes, they get a 5th round, but man, what a performance from George. 20 frags, no one even in double digits aside from him on the rest of the Nouns squad. And, I mean, getting 10 rounds on their T side of Inferno is just phenomenal, especially against Imperial.
It really is. It really is a monstrous performance coming through from George. Jazz Pimp going to be the one with maybe first contact. No, he'll withdraw. It's George with the dualies, though, on the balcony. Get real interesting real quick.
Indeed.
Space taken in the apps. That flash will have been heard. That sends Nouns pretty far back into their sights. 2 smokes, 2 flashes remaining to push this on through, and with a pretty vanilla hold to this moment, Nouns are going to let the execute come in.
Yeah, here's the flash for B-Wills, who's actually going to get one around the edge of the smoke onto Vinny.
Split.
Although Imperial, yes, they're going to split onto the B site. 2 players going through CT, the other 2 heading up Banana. And there are 2 players here to deny on the Noun side, but it's going to take some nifty little shots, and Cynic looks like he's up to the task here, peeking around, throwing the smoke, forcing Imperial to have a bit of a wait here before they charge on forward, and Cynic will miss almost all of his shots. Cello does go
60.
Down to 28,
the time
but it's
is
up
so
to
low.
60.
Oh, if he found that second, if he dropped the bomb, what could have been 25 seconds, though plenty of time for Imperial to get this bomb down. It'll be even in the retake. There's no util on it. There is a kit for B-Wills, but it's going to be the might of their pistol guns that have to bring this through. First point of contention, Fur is tucked in towards the church. The Banana players are coming through, but the question is, does Fur make the first move? Does he flinch? Or is Jazz Pimp able to clean him out? So important here. B-Wills finds the first contact. Jazz Pimp can't hang on. So Fur's position still strong. They're overwhelming Fallen at the back of sight, but the flashbang is perfectly timed, and Fallen and Fur will keep their team fighting here.
Oh my goodness, that flashbang is so dangerous to throw, but if you do it properly, it is absolutely lights out for the CTs, and Fur does just a perfect toss from him to support his teammates. So there we go. Fur contributing this time with the utility. And now Imperial will get that all-important pistol round and pick up a 6th for themselves. But Nouns, not shying away from 4 spies, they are going to jump right back into this one. 4 pistols and the scout for Cynic, who does get a shot off, but it's not going to ring true. As Imperial, again, look for this banana control, and they probably know that they can abuse it a little bit, given that this, well, at least they'll probably expect Nouns to have a little less utility, but it's actually pretty strong on their side. They're just saving it for the hit.
Oodles of nades.
Yeah.
But lighter presence on towards A, and Imperial have found some control towards the brackets. Found some space here. Are they going to start to dump some nades to take more? This is a ruse. This is a ruse, and Nouns aren't flinching, at least not yet. They've given up all control towards A of Imperial. They want to just go for a straightforward B take. It seems the timing on that smoke may slow them, but no. They were going to go through. Vinny thinks better of it. And look at the remaining util here for Imperial. A flash, A smoke, A Molotov. There'll be nothing for the post plant. If this hit does come through, a re-smoke on. They're being stymied. Eek. This is going to come right down to the wire, and 3 players are here, and a 4th is already floating, John.
Yeah.
It's going to get weird.
I mean, the lower the time gets, the more dangerous it is with these pistols in hand. For Nouns, they got 3 players here. Yeah, here comes the hit, and Cello is going to deliver the first one. Oh no, a TK, and now George manages to connect on 2. It's George for a 3K, for the last one standing. Absolute catastrophe strikes for Imperial.
No time. No time to even consider this. Fur has to try and keep his AK alive. The round has been conceded. And now he's been spotted as well, so some concerns about whether this gun can live. A catastrophe here for Imperial, running down that clock until they just did not have time to safely clear. Nouns, a triumph, a coup, a round stolen away, and once again, it's this man on your screen, George, to deliver it. 3 massive kills.
George is, I mean, what else is there to say? He's just showing how strong he has been. throughout all of the matches
Oh,
they've
they're holding
played here.
hands now.
No, they just got a little handshake going on there. I love it.
I don't even know if they're old enough to have seen Rocket Power.
Well, they must have at some point, Mike. But wow, 11-6 in favor of Nouns. What a round to pick up. It resets the economy of Imperial, who are going to try and force back into this. So the force by wars are on, Mike.
Jazz Pimp, good damage, but only one kill, and that's a huge one to lose. Oh, it's getting so messy. George, the hero of the last, is down in this one. The flank is potentially on, but Sixty will wisely withdraw. They wanted to chase that, thinking he might push, and the 60 of yours certainly would have. This time a timely withdrawal, and Cynic won't press the angle. So it's a 3-on-3, a little bit of a reset here after the first brush. That nade doesn't find home, but they're vulnerable to the scout for sure, John.
Yes, they are without question. The thing is, 60 is now pushed up. He's got control of bottom of Banana. If he can push up and get on this flank, it'll be so very much impactful.
He's a little wary that they may have gotten through in towards spawn. It's something they've done before. This is a misread and miscue, but they're very scared about it.
This is key if 60 pushes up, but he's choosing not to because they don't have the information, right?
This is an interesting read they've made. Now 60 starts to take the space, and that's going to draw B-Wills back over. Not seeing anything, not hearing anything.
They're not even checking this.
Oh, the rotation back in. Vinny, this duel is huge. Callow wins it. 30 seconds, though. B-Wills back on the angle. He could be it. They don't know which way to go. Imperial, they're indecisive.
26 seconds.
They have to pick something, but B-Wills is pulled off. No! Oh, they expected the rotation, and in doing so, Nouns will forfeit the ability to contest this round. For once, Imperial's patience pays off. 15 seconds to spare, but this bomb is going down, and now the question becomes, does Nouns want to recommit themselves to the fight?
I think Cynic needs to toss this nade. He needs to try and go for a dunk onto the site because...
They don't know the damage, I don't think.
60 has to have told him, look, I must have lit them up in some way, even though he doesn't get a frag. So they're going to try, at the very least, maybe some tags or a nade tossed in. You have to throw it in if you're Cynic because you never know what's going to happen. And here comes that nade.
Pick.
Oh, no, picks the wrong spot, and I think now they pull the plug.
You'd imagine they might. You'd imagine they might. Not a lot of money to spare. What a recovery for Imperial. That round looked so shaky. And at this point, Cynic may just try and keep these players close to the bomb, close to death. He will find one.
Oh, I thought he was going to get
the second as well. These players, I don't know if they're going to make it out. Again, that new bomb radius, they're low. Yeah, no survivors for Imperial, so no cash taken through, but the money's disastrous for the CT side as well. That's the recovery that Imperial needed now. They have to build. Yeah,
the thing is, that's really important for Cynic to keep them on that long and force them to go down to the bomb because now it's even more justifiable to continue forcing up here on your CT side and jumping right back into this round. And there they go. Another force buy is going to come through here. MP9 FAMAS, Scout saved over, and the 2 pistols. And on Imperial, like you mentioned, their money wasn't that great, but they're still able to bring in 2 Galils, 2 AKs, and the MAC-10. That's not too shabby.
Here's where we've seen many a CT side go awry. When you get sucked into the force buys, all it takes is losing this next, and suddenly Imperial are closing this gap to a tied scoreline. So the path back in is clear for Imperial. It's been lit up. They just need to walk it. At least on first blush, they're not going to be damaged up in the slightest.
No.
Not a lot of util, though. Not a lot. 3 smokes, a couple flashes. They made it work with less. But if they run the clock all the way down again, things could get a little scary.
I think, though, that moment of indecisiveness for Imperial was enough to pull Nouns off the site, so it worked out in their favor that time. But here, yeah, they want to move a little bit quicker into this one. 55 seconds left on the clock, and they're going to stall out, Mike. They used a bit of util and said, okay, well, we don't really feel comfortable going for this one. They're rotating all the way back towards the B site, where there's a FAMAS and 60 with the Deagle.
They confirmed at least 2 players, likely, because of the smoke back in towards the cubby. And now here comes the pressure, here comes the presence. Util's going to start to be spent. There's a player already past it, though. That's Vinny. Does he get caught? No, slips into the pool.
60's position.
60 with the Molotov. They have no idea. He slipped past. Now it's chaos. Now it's madness. 2 players coming up short.
21 seconds are going
B-Will's still alive in the pit. Okay, they're trying to rotate back in. Players library could hold the line. Damage done on Defer.
B-Wills can end this
They need to plant this bomb. 13 seconds. They've got no time to spare. Imperial are doing themselves no favors. The bodies are dropping one after another. The bomb, it will be planted, but there will be no survival here for Fallen. Imperial can't keep it going. 4 players survive for Nouns. Imperial They just refuse to make a move without 20 seconds remaining.
Oh my goodness, and the force by justified on the Nouns side. What a flashbang thrown. I think it was George right on the B side. Tosses that flash on forward, lets 60 slip through, even though he's blinded by it as well. He knows, I just need to go as far as possible to try and get on this flank right here, and he gets that frag onto Bolts. Right before that, a frag came through from his teammate, and then this at the end was just pandemonium. Such patience in pit by B-Wills not to peek out, knowing that they have very little time to go out there and get that bomb planted, and waits until about 10 seconds are left until he comes around that corner and supports the rest of his squad. Absolutely fantastic, and eventually someone had to yield in the Force by Wars, and it's going to be Imperial deciding to go for an eco here.
This angle could be tricky for Cynic. The peek into time. Oh, spotted a player. Util, not the right time. Now he's got the line. One found, though. Advantage still, and B-Wills will make it a little bit better. They wanted to try and capitalize on that moment of chaos. Imperial thought they had a window, and they did. But the window slammed shut. Still, they will move up short. It's all on the Bolts now. A little dig time for Bolts. Yes. Eventually, not quite a one dig, but a dig nonetheless.
Not going to hurt too much on the Nouns side, as they only lose 2 players. They have plenty of money, can reinvest fully, and finally, a couple around victories in a row going the Nouns way.
And they only need a few more. There's not too much more CS to play if you're on the Nouns side.
No.
3 rounds needed. Money reinforced. Op out for Cynic. We haven't really seen that much for Cynic so far this game, so that's going to be a new look.
It's been so back and forth. They haven't been able to get their economy settled enough to justify the investment into the op.
And you're starting to see the emphasis on A. I'd imagine part of that is they know where George plays, and George right now is 25-8. If you can avoid him getting involved in the round, you really would rather do that.
No kidding. But he's been all over the place, right? It's hard to read where he's actually going to end up. Now he's on the B side again, so that's probably the spot that Imperial are going to try to avoid, and that appears to be the case after some early utility usage at Banana. 4 players bunched up in a group. A nade would be so lethal here, but Jaspin doesn't have one, and he decides not to really toss anything towards mid, instead favoring a Molotov up close near the arch position. He must have heard that. Fur walks right through it. Jaspin hiding in the smoke for now, waiting for his chance to strike, and he comes out, doesn't realize player got past him. Now he does! Manages to get one before going down, which is the important part, and another flashbang gets tossed on forward by Nouns to try and keep Imperial at bay. They're backing off!
Oh, they had the foothold. They could just wrap around the site, but once again, they've given up the angle, and here's going to be the aggression back in. 60 finds one. It's second as well. He steps off. Imperial, they give up the initiative. They give up the initial hold. They give up the space. And now time is going to be an issue for them once again. 40 seconds just now. Cello's trying to get out of the balcony. The bomb can at least probably be retrieved, but they've only really got one option. They have to take it towards A. They got one single smoke. That'll be spent to try and get a bomb plant, but the problem is they haven't cleared mini pit. They haven't cleared mini pit, and that's the problem with that. Well, all on the Cello. He's in said mini pit. He's got 18 seconds to try and get out and try and get a bomb down, and he's all on his lonesome, and he has absolutely nothing to help him with it.
He's spotted too.
They know exactly where he is. The player up tucked. 60 will put him down.
Wow.
14 for Nouns.
I mean, yes, Imperial did back off of an attempted take, but you have to give credit to Nouns with that utility usage. So many flashes thrown, they had no visibility, and their only choice, in their minds anyway, was to back off, reset a little bit, and then try to hit up lane. Instead, it just doesn't pan out at all because 60 ends up re-aggressing right around the corner at bracket, gets himself a 2K, and then the attack has been completely neutered.
Timeout taken here by Imperial.
Oh, I mean, you have to.
This is only their second, considering the scoreline. I mean, you may not even get to use the remaining ones. 2 still to spare. And if you don't want to be playing for overtime here on Inferno, now's the round.
Jeez.
The round for 60. That's his moment. It's been the George show. But 60's been a close second fiddle.
They were down 14-8 against Team 1 as well here on Inferno, so they do have the capacity to come back here, but in this round, only the pistols. And that said, there was a pistol buy-up or a half-buy that started them going against Team 1, but I don't know. Nouns have been really solid here, so we'll see if Imperial can get something. Cynic went for an early peek with the op into the apartments, now has fallen off. That nade only connects for a little bit of damage. Imperial able to evade it.
The problem is Imperial are looking so timid. in their takes. Time was an issue before, but when they needed to strike, they did. Here we're seeing these moments where they find the ground, where we see they have full access to a site, and they get scared. They're dancing at shadows. They're backing away off of phantoms.
Had they just held their ground arch side, even just waited for the flashes to go away and their vision to be restored, they would have been fine.
Something could have been. Perhaps. As it is now, they're taking into a site with 4 holding. Oh, the timing! The nade comes out at the wrong moment, and now Fallen has gained a gun, and now pressure's on towards B.
This is a good call.
They're caught out of position. Nouns are going to have to come into rotation. Peebles might have the backstab, but for now it's George, the guy who's been an absolute champion so far this game, and, well, they know they need to accelerate. B-Wills can't finish off that kill, but eventually Fallen makes it happen. The bomb's dropped. The bomb's dropped. 35 seconds, the bomb is dropped. It has to be recovered. Which side do they take it to now? It's split. Do you want to deal with Cynic? Do you want to deal with George? Pick your poison. And Cynic's going to go forward for the mid-fight. He's aggressing. They're together here.
Ooh.
This is everything. The AWP going forward for a frag. He can't connect. That's a bomb plant. 15 seconds or no, that's enough. And there's no way George expects a player top banana. Another chaotic round, but here's how it started before.
Yep.
The Deagles, the Pistols. This time, Imperial emerged from the chaos.
Fallen just taking the team on his shoulders with some wicked shots from the Deagle, and there it is, the 8th round picked up from Imperial, and right off the timeout of Imperial, Nouns takes one too.
You'll remember, in that game last night, to get them into overtime, it required a 1v3 from Fallen.
Exactly.
And then a second 1v3 got them their only round of OT. His individual performance, if he steps up, if he starts to blossom, it can be an X factor here. But consistency has not exactly been in his favor so far.
No, yeah.
We have not seen vintage Fallen in every round, as Sam is fond of saying. Now, it's about the new blood. Nouns. Can they respond here? That's the mistake. But you can't let it slip into your head. So many more rounds to play.
Yeah, and honestly, look, it's eventually going to happen. They've really held Imperial at bay here in this second half, and now they've managed to crack through. And yeah, the money, even though Nouns did get 3 in a row, it was still very hard fought round after round after round. And you're going to see 3 FAMASas, an MP9, and the A1S in 60's hands. Vinny's going for some early control of Banana, and 3 players are waiting at the B site, so it might not be the correct choice, although a nade does connect on the George. Here's a fight, though. Vinny going to go down to 6 HP. George is trying to chase this one, and through the smoke, 60 connects. A lucky shot, bolts down to the ground, and Vinny still on notice at 6 HP. Imperial are stalling out now, trying to decide where they should adjust.
And this is where we've seen Imperial struggle, right? In these moments where they lose a pick, where something goes against them, it takes so much time for them to rally. The changeup for Nouns is, having shown that presence towards Banana, they shift a player over towards A. That's a bit of a mystery. George is going to need to come back into the line. And meanwhile, Fallen's looking. Fallen's hunting. And Fallen's posted. 60 gives him this peek. If he gives him this fight, this could just open things back up for Imperial. To go for a flower pot's boost, though. 60 tucked up. There's a smoke for this cross. And Fallen continues to clear into the angle. No one into the site proper. They can get the player off the boost and get this smoked up. A bomb plant is here for Imperial. But that's a lot of ifs. Lot of ifs, and the timing of that smoke, that might section this out. Oh, no one's looking. What are they watching for? Expecting a flashbang, finding none. George will just take full advantage. That might just be a catastrophe. 22 seconds. You're absolutely right, John. They're locked out of sight. They have to try and go for this, but it's pure desperation. At this point, they have no information. For all they know, this is a stack. They've only seen one, and they didn't even see that man. A player into pool. Fur has some space, but he's done.
This is done.
There's the trade. That's the bomb down. 6 seconds. Vinny's just going to try and save this AWP, and they're chasing. They are hungry for this. They might get him after time. He takes the 1, not the second. That's going to be it. Nouns find map point. One more round, and they send Imperial down 1-0. And they put the threat on the Brazilian legends of elimination.
Unreal job there by Nouns to deny the space over at the B side. Just a timely peek from George, and of course he caught Fallen playing anti-flash, and well, it was a freebie frag, and then he ends up getting back to the site without even being traded. So just fantastic for Nouns, and now they're looking for this 16th round and map number 1 of the BO3 without even letting Imperial get into double digits. Fallen, gonna have him all top landed at his feet. I think he was spotted over to the tippy top of that smoke, but now he's engaging. George fighting away. Flash is going back and forth. Fallen will win that duel at least, giving his team the man advantage as Bolts tosses a nade on forward to keep Nouns at bay.
Nouns in the big moment. Maybe trying to force the issue a bit early here. The aggression worked in the last round, but this time, Fallen comes out on top. A chance now for Imperial. Taking their time with this, but a poke out of Boiler. This could get interesting. You got Jazz Pimp tucked into the Nook. He'll be smoked off. 3 players have shifted here towards A. It's the right read, at least initially. Presence is coming to try and establish some control. Top mid. They've left B vacant. This is going to be a gamble stack. It's either going to be an A hit or Nouns is going to save. And at least for now, Imperial are not revealing their hand. But it's looking like they like A. Usually when they leave Bolts alone towards B, he's the lurk.
He's the lurk, exactly.
Here comes this exact Jazz Pimp.
They know where he is now, though.
He's caught. He's
goodness.
caught. Now it may not matter if this is a pinch in towards B in particular. That's free and clear for the taking. But no, they'll head towards A. They'll head to the reinforced site. They have no idea, but here's the stack. And they're not going to know right up until the last moment. 22 seconds. That's the bomb. That's the bomb. It's dropped out into the open. Time is everything here. Imperial can't lose this to the clock. They'll have to cross back in front. They take out the graveyard player, but it's all about the
10
pit.
seconds.
Cynic stays alive. 10 seconds. He just needs to find one. It's just Vinny. Bolts is nowhere close at hand. That can't happen. Cynic opting for the rifle instead, and now a 1v2 from the pit. Imperial have found at least a little bit of breathing room. A dance with Vinny on the site. Cynic's position known. Bolts coming close at hand. Bolts playing short. Should have the sight line as Cynic tries to get on out. Oh, the shots nearly land, and M4 gets that. But as it is, Imperial cling to life. Seconds were all of the difference in that round.
Unreal how close that got, and just Imperial taking control only because they're able to find the frags, because if they don't hunt aggressively with only 12 seconds left, that round would have slipped by the wayside. Then they managed to get into a safe planting spot, and after that point, Cynic just couldn't do much. It would have been better if he tried to swing around quickly because, well, unbeknownst to him, Bolts wasn't anywhere nearby. He had a 1v1. But either way, Nouns will have to go on a full-on eco here. The money not good enough to invest, and they're going to send 4 players into the apartments. Could overload Fur, but a flashbang thrown by Fallen supports so very well, and that means easy clean.
There we go. This is about the only easy round Imperial have had all game long.
Yeah.
Feels good to get their feet under them. It's insane to think about how close that last round was. Imperial, I mean,
could have been over.
My sympathies to Imperial fans right now, because with this slow pace of play, I think they're determined to give you heart attacks. Every round, even when they're winning, it feels like one kill misplaced could send it hurtling out of control. And I mean, that was the case there, right? If Vinny crossing back to site after retrieving the bomb goes down, Pulse is not close enough to matter. This round, calm.
Yeah.
For Imperial.
As it should have been.
As it should have been. To be fair, there's a few of these that should have been. That weren't.
That's true. That's true.
I feel my heart rate, and I don't have a horse in this fight.
Yeah. It's actually one thing that would be really cool that I've always thought of is to have heart rate monitors on the players, and then we can have it on the HUD to see what their heart rate might be in a clutch situation.
I think some tournaments have done that, but I don't recall which.
Yeah.
Heart rate monitor on me right now, I'd be going crazy.
Yeah, same.
But as it is, another round, another chance. Another chance to try and put this away. Nouns. Looking to close this map. They've been so very good. There are limitations onto the utility, but when George is on the server, all it takes is one moment. They're so ready to stack up on towards A. Normally when teams do this, they have more aggressive positioning on towards Banana. That's not available. But recognizing that there are limitations to their util, Nouns want to have the bodies if a hit does come through. Problem is Imperial's first read is to check B, and not finding that util, not finding that space, not finding the presence from Nouns, it might just go through. Smoke in. Here's the exact utility going to go down. That'll pull everything out from 60 here in defense. But Beebles catches the lurk. And look at this flank. Cynic's all the way down. Fur was ready for
what
it.
a punish.
Cynic just tried to race on in. Now they've caught the player on B. Smokes are there, so Imperial won't go in just yet. It's Beebles who steps to the plate. He's withdrawn in towards Boiler. Do they overlook this? They do. One, and he's away. He's away and into the balcony. Time again going to become an issue here for Imperial, but that's a big find to have. And with the smoke up on Moto, there is nothing that Jazz Pimp can do. Okay, this might just turn into a save, but Bolts is even going to make that difficult. As George backs away, Bolts will actually give him the ground. So, okay, they are going to concede the save. They are just going to make sure that they get the round here.
Yeah, B-Will's a nice effort at the very least, but he had to thunder stomp his way through the apartments to get back there, and Fallen, of course, hearing it, realizing, yep, he's got to come out this way, and, well, absolutely ready, wipes him off the map, and then Imperial have the easy path to the bomb plant. So, started at 14-8, or 14-7, in fact, and Imperial have only yielded one round since that point, picked up 4 for themselves. Money's not that great on the Nouns side. I think they have to be conservative here. You have to just go for the eco. It's something that they really haven't done too much here on this CT side, but now they're going to call a timeout, likely to talk this over and say, hey guys, let's settle it down. We still have the lead. There's no reason to panic here.
Talk about these scenarios. Talk about what's happened before. Talk about what they need to get the 1. Their setup's been read a little bit, right?
Yeah.
They like to play 1B, 4A. And Imperial have started to figure this one out.
Well, it's what Imperial likes to do too.
True. True. Very true. It's quite meta. The problem is Nouns haven't had the utility in the last few rounds to actually put enough presence down Banana to push Imperial off of the initial control. And when you can take that initial control, it's very easy to do.
Very powerful. Yeah, and I mean, look, it's because of how much Nouns have been forcing up, right? You can't get that utility going if you continue investing everything you've got round after round. And finally, they do indeed make the call and say, look, let's go for an eco, a little bit of util available, only 4 pieces, and they're already going to toss one. That's Jasmine with the nade. So they're trying to challenge a little bit at top of Banana. And in fact, Mike, decide to send both rifles to B. Flash going to get tossed here. And Bolt's just spamming through the smoke. Not connecting on anything just yet, but it looks like they want to take this B control again, or banana control, I should say. And, well, there's the frag that's going to open things up. But Jasmine, fully blinded, just panic spraying, gets Bolts with a headshot and upgrades himself to an AK, shoots the FAMAS over to 60 as well. And that's not too shabby of an outcome.
Now they know there's 2 players B, though. Do they just go for the immediate response? No. Imperial will hang on to this position, try and press it. That means Wade's going to be on to Jazz Pimp once again. The only player with armor, to be fair. But he's going to have to deliver. Flashbang is good. He's holding the angle. Lives. Gets the reload off, but flash after flash, he's got to be dead, and indeed he is. And with that, the B site should be ripe for the taking. The FAMAS is worth holding on to here. This may be a save. Fur could get collected. He's alone on the A side of the map. And if he drops, it's the second rifle to take through. But killing Fur, that's a tough ask.
Yeah. Indeed, especially when you start walking very loudly next to him and he hears your footsteps. So 6 is going to go down. And B-Wills and Cynic, they don't have too much to lose. Okay, now maybe. Cynic does manage to pick up the FAMAS, and he'll probably try and save that. But they know Fur's position, and he's around Boiler now. Maybe Imperial send another player over to try and support.
Actually.
Oh, excuse me. Yes, he is over at the T-steps, and
goodbye,
now he
rifle.
finds Cynic. Okay.
Goodbye, gun. Oh, Fur. Timing. For B-Wills, not good. And Fur's giving him the slip.
Yep.
And for B-Wills, it might just be about getting that FAMAS back. It's been a little cursed. Look to your left. Look to your left. Look to your left. Not going to look to his left. All right, Zoolander.
He'll get it.
Probably.
Hopefully.
All right, gun retrieved. That's the only thing they really could have saved through to this round. But 3 rounds are all that separate these 2 teams. The run back here from Imperial has come so close. Last time, they did bring it into overtime. They couldn't close it there. But a chance for redemption here for Imperial.
4 rounds in a row here. 3 more required for them to repeat history, at least in terms of sending it to overtime. Util is excellent for Imperial and even for Nouns, Mike.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for Nouns, that's the difference maker, right? They've got the nades. That's what they haven't had in the last few. It could be a change. I think a CT Molly airburst. There was a Molly that airburst from one direction or another.
Yeah, it might have been a CT Molly.
Can't afford to waste those. Not here, not now. They're going to leave Cynic with the AWP, but again, without that initial hold on towards Banana, it's very tough to do this as a solo player. If you don't have the ability to shot and drop, in this one, it's basically hit or die. And sometimes it's hit and die.
And they keep going B, Imperial and Nouns. I mean, they did try to toss the utility. Oh, nice shot from Cello onto George. And look at the damage done on Cynic and 60. Even 6. Cynic falls by the wayside. Jasmine manages to get one back. He's trying to peek out, but look at the damage done again to even him. And it is over, Mike. B-side's taken. Nouns are going to give up a 13th.
They're going to go around to try and retrieve this op. Keeping these 3 guns alive may mean they can buy in the next, but yeah, Nouns have become very stubborn in their setup, and Imperial have detected the weakness. There's not been an adjustment in so many rounds, and Imperial are exploiting that fact.
Timeout has to be called, and the adjustment needs to be made for the following rounds. There's no way they can continue with this setup. It has just been completely undone by Imperial.
You can imagine even just playing the 2-top Banana. I mean, it's worked for them a lot. George and 60 were playing as a dynamic duo there towards the beginning of the half. But we'll see. The hunt is on for Imperial. They've got the spare cash. They can go for this. One gun gone. Well worth it.
Much.
Anything more? Oh, the clean sweep.
No.
Nothing doing for Nouns. This next round will have to be a half buy. And it'll all come down, more likely than not, to round 30.
Do we get a timeout from Nouns is the question right now.
FNX can scarcely breathe at this point.
It's intense for him too. No timeout called, Mike's okay. Well, so Nouns just going to be on the
Saving
eco.
it for the last.
Yeah.
There's a hero rifle here. They had enough money for it, so 60's going to have an M4. And there's a chunky bit of nades. 5 HEs. If there were a B stack, I'd be really optimistic, but there's not.
The rifle's in the right position here for 60.
They're going so quick. There's the spot. There's the spot. HEs can come through. The first one lands. Some damage. Kill found. Bolts out of play. An opening pick. It's been long since then, and now they've seen the rifle. Continued damage with the HEs, but 60 is out of play. They need to bring these rifles back around on towards B, and
mortar strike.
The HEs, they are chunky, but is it going to be enough to coax Imperial off? George wants to get back around to that M4.
Jasmine just wants to get here and toss the util.
Going to be on the line. Imperial slowing up. Still a minute. Plenty of time.
Here's the nade. He's trying to line it up.
Got to pick right. Got to pick right.
Oh, he's not sure.
Wants to wait for the presence because they know those HEs can be the difference maker here. Yeah. There's still 3 available.
There we go.
Smoke up. Provide some cover.
He's got to toss it soon. It could be so very lethal here. They've got the A1S back in their hands. George going to go for the boost.
Flashbang's there. Players up. It's getting chaotic. It's getting messy. The HE, they can't pull the pin. Jaspim goes down. He's dropped. Oh, counter nades in. Damage done, but Vinny cleans it up. Imperial against the mortar fire, against the hail of shrapnel they hang on. And the promise of those nades is not realized. Jaspim just couldn't pull the pin in the right moment. And as it is now, an opportunity lost. Imperial going to pull on to 14 to close this gap to just 1. Legends never say die.
Wow. I mean, look, Jazz Pimp just hesitated time and time again. He pulled out the nade 3 times, I believe it was. Just didn't want to throw it at the wrong moment, but it probably would have just been better to toss it on forward down Banana in the common spot, but instead it just goes down with his body and they get cleared out. I mean, I guess I like the idea of going for the boost and trying to catch Imperial off guard. The thing is, the util was just too strong. They were blinded and not much of a chance to even get a shot fired on. There's the timeout. So you were right, Mike. Just saving it for the last round.
Last round. Gotta have it. Gotta have it for this moment.
Gotta make the adjustment. I don't think a B anchor, a lone B anchor, is going to be enough, especially considering Imperial have not really changed what they've been doing in this round win streak. Just go B, abuse it, and get that plant.
Talking about what they want to run as this last strat.
Yeah.
As this last moment, they need that energy. George has gone silent, right? It was 25-8 at one point.
That's right.
27-15 at this point. So over the last few, he's not been able to deliver in the same way. He's cooled off.
Here's the adjustment.
One last round.
3 players towards B now. Yeah, one last round at least in regulation.
At least in regulation, true. One last round for Nouns to try and put this away.
Yes.
We've got Util. They're dumping it pretty quick, but they're at least showing a lot more presence on towards B, and that might slow Imperial up.
Bit of a different look to the early round here from Imperial. They're not going to be charging up as aggressively down to the top of Banana.
I think they anticipated the adjustment themselves.
Exactly.
Didn't want to get caught in those nades.
Adapting on the fly here.
Now they'll take the space. Top B is given over. Oh, the push back in. It's going to be a flashbang here from Jazzpimp, presumably. The timing on this could determine the round. There's the flash. There's the clear. There's the kill. The second as well. George activated again. He's not able to get away, but advantage still for Nouns. They'll take the man advantage. They'll bring it into this round. A boost up on the logs, trying to move this player out. 6C, he burns alive. He can't get away. So back into an even situation, and now just left to Jazzpimp to hold the line. Damage done, Fallen limping. The players aren't close at hand, and Fur remains to try and catch the rotators. To try and catch them out of place. There's a gap, there's a gap, there's a gap. They re-smoke it.
They got it. I mean, and look, that nade's on the other side of the map. Oh, Fur catches off Cynic. It's going to make it a 3v2 here, but the trade is good. B-Wills drops Fur, Fallen on notice at 4 HP, and you still have Jasmine lurking around construction right now with the A1S. He needs the support. He's waiting for it to come through because, yeah, the utility belt is on B-Wills. A flash, a nade, and a smoke. The nade could take down Fallen if it's thrown in the right spot, and he is tucked in towards Banana. Cello waiting for the engagements. Overtime. And the map on the line.
Here it comes, right around the corner. This first kill, a trade is there. Down to the clutch. Just one bullet remaining. Fallen, if he gets tapped, he is done and dusted. There's a defuse kit on this. They might just stick. B-Wills is just going to stick. It's all about Fallen. Can he find it? He can indeed.
Goodness.
The legend of Fallen will push his team for more into overtime. A recovery here on Inferno. We're not done just yet. They've done it again. The storied careers of the players on Imperial just propel them forward. All of that experience, all of that grit. They've been here before, even just last night, and once again, they rallied around the comeback to find overtime. Nouns couldn't close it, couldn't find the last dagger they needed. So now we get more CS here on Inferno.
Yeah, difference was Fur and Fallen woke up in that second half. I mean, they were both at negative KDRs coming into it, and then jumped up, Fallen at 23 and 15 to finish off that second half, and Fur at 20 and 19. But it really has been the IGL Fallen to lead the charge. Now George is going to get bolts here to make it a 5v4, and in probably, well, we'll see, maybe in traditional fashion, they'll do really well here in this first OT.
Yeah, I mean, this is George, right? The monster of regulation for so long, but he slowed down at a critical juncture.
Yes.
You almost thought with 2 kills in the final round, it would be enough to push them over the line, but here in overtime, he's still delivering, refinding that form. He has been the difference maker. He is the only player on his team. Actually, that's a lie. B-Wills as well. One of 2 players on his team with a positive KD. 10 more kills than his next closest teammate.
Imperial, a man down here in the early goings. 55 seconds left now to make their hit. And when they've got a man down on their T side, that's when things get a little bit problematic for them. And Cynic looking to punish with the op from the moto position.
Time getting short again. Yeah. 45 seconds, John.
A little bit, yeah. And they continue to stall out here. Finally going to take a peek, and oh, what a shot from Cello to take the head clean off of Cynic. And that means they can try to get to B, but that's a critical frag. 60 dropping Vinny, and that means the pincer attack is gone, and they have to readjust and adapt.
With a player in pit still, with B-Wills in the pit. 25 seconds. The clock has been their enemy. B-Will starts to strike. The bomb is up short. That can't go down. Molotov will limit what they can do in terms of moving out. Utility is holding them at bay. The rotations are on. There's so little time to operate with. 25 seconds now. Fallen cannot die or the round is over.
Oh, there
and that's
goes.
it. That's the clock. Fur cannot win this. The first round of overtime goes to Nouns. The old adage holds true.
Again.
You finally found the round you needed for so very long, just when it doesn't matter anymore.
Exactly the same for Team 1 yesterday. And Nouns, like you said, the old adage holding true.
And you'll remember yesterday,
Yep.
Imperial were in this exact scenario. They wound up dropping 3 rounds in a row to start the OT, and they could only find 1 in sum total to keep it in contention. So they can't do it again. They have to maintain the stamina. They can't run out of steam here.
Well, I mean, I talked about it before. They're a very streaky team, and once that streak gets shut down, it's hard to get the engine going again. So we'll see if they can manage it here. Cynic posted up around mid. Great flashbang thrown by Fallen, and Cello is able to get the opening shot. Great trade from Jasmine, but even better from Vinny to maintain this man advantage. Fallen dropping Jasmine. This is not at all the way it went yesterday, because Imperial have made it a 4v1. 60 will get one before he's dropped here, and the bomb has not yet been planted, so maybe a chance to make this a 2v1 with a frag onto Balls. Nope, not gonna happen. 60 goes down, and Imperial tie it up.
The immediate response from Imperial. They don't want to see this go away again. All this work to get into overtime, they can't let that just fall by the wayside. And this time it doesn't even take a clutch. They just win from start to finish. Cynic caught out of position, and from there, it unravels. So for Imperial, the snappier play, the quicker adjustment, getting that opening pick and seizing, this is the change-up from regulation. This is what's given them a whole lot more in terms of success. Can they find this final round? Yep. There's no op now for Cynic. They don't have the money for that. Those are the limitations of 10 KOTs. What are they going to show for it?
It's unbelievable how much Fallen contributes both on the scoreboard and in terms of utility usage. He is setting up his teammates almost every single time with those flashbangs. We'll get back to it as it looks like George is going to get the opener here. He flicks around to Logs, realizing that someone got in there, and George gets the second 5v3 advantage for Nouns, and he will escape with his life on top of everything else.
The madman still firing away with the dualies, giving them a target to trace back through. But he'll get away. And a double man advantage now for Nouns as they look to string together another CT side round. It's Cello who wants to bring this back, but look at the bomb. It's all the way in spawn. Whatever happens, time could become an issue here. That kill not going their way. Cello finding one, but Bolts has cleared this out. The problem is the bomb. The aforementioned bomb. One of Bolts or Fur is going to need to travel around the world, and now they've found Fur. He's done. It's all on a Bolts. He has 6 points of health. He has 45 seconds. Well, he had a sight, but unfortunately he can't be in two places at once, so he has no idea where he can actually bring this bomb.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, he's assuming that someone's going to try and retake that space towards B, and he would assume correctly because you see Cynic at the bottom of Banana hunting and looking. It's the best play, given the fact that the last position they know that he was in was towards B.
This has got to be so confusing if you're Nouns at this juncture, but they've got the right sight line. B-Wills holds this, and Bolts is one bullet away from death, and B-Wills will deliver it. So first half of overtime, 2-1 for Nouns.
George again, he's reawoken.
Yes.
Gets the 3K, and man, just cool as a cucumber. I've not seen him crack a smile or get frustrated or anything. He is calm, cool, and collected as just, what a great job. Hearing the footsteps, knowing that Vinny was over at Logs, and then George pitching in again after 60 goes down.
It's wild to think about how much of an evolution he's gone through. He was a player that was well known for sprinting at people with a PP Bison just a year ago, buying a Negev. Having a good bit of fun and a few TKs, but
less than a year ago. Mike.
Less than a year ago. in a short span of time with this team, I mean, the evolution has been incredible. Let's see if it's enough to get Nouns over the line. Presence in apartments, Cello on the other side. If they actually just go through Hall, it's kind of an awkward setup for Imperial. Cello will need to adjust to be able to deal with that possibility. A Hall's pop here would be pretty devastating, and Cello's actually going to go forward into the fight. No. Up on the bout, timing is good, but the pop is there. The flashbang's excellent. A player slips back into sight, but he's been spotted. Inferno is down. It's over. This round is toast. Imperial may even try and save, considering the money situation in OT. They have enough to risk it, but in a 2v5, do you really want to throw these guns away? Another map point is going to be conceded over to Nouns. They get 2 more chances to put this away, and Imperial are staring down the barrels of dropping another 19-16 here on Inferno.
So tough here for Imperial, and a fantastic execute for Nouns. Cannot be understated how effective their util has been as well. And Cynic, who always leads the charge there, does the same thing. Opens things up with a fantastic flashbang and leaves Cello in such a tough spot that he can't really get anything. Bolt's trying to save here desperately and keep this gun alive, and is able to do so at the very least by dropping 60 and Jasmine. And I mean, look, Nouns can continue hunting. They have a buy-up no matter what into this next round, so they're going to keep looking for bodies, trying to get these guns out of the hands of Fallen, and Bolt Cynic spamming through the smoke, and no, not going to happen. So a glimmer of hope remains here for Imperial with those guns saved.
At least no money issues, right?
Yes.
It would be terrible to see Imperial not have a chance to fight for these last 2, and they do. There are no excuses here. They'll have every tool at their disposal to try and keep Inferno in contention. But for Nouns, they feel like they're righting a wrong. They're making up for their mistakes. They're correcting the record here with 1 more round. That's what they seek.
Oh, goodness. Fallen, peeking around for mid. Doesn't see anything just yet. And you see Nouns, they're eager to get going, waiting for the util to dissipate a little bit and be tossed on forward. They're standing way far back away from Banana to avoid exactly that. All those nades don't do any damage at all. And now you see the util set getting a lot lighter on the Imperial side. Only 1 nade left. A couple of smokes. Make that, yes, a couple of smokes. They just used 1 there.
They've gone back to reload. They've done the traditional leave some outside of church.
Yes, exactly.
Reinforce this banana hole, but they've also gone back to their traditional bolts as alone type of situation. He has a single Molotov to try and hold this at bay, but once this smoke fades, if his bell gets rung, it's trouble. It's trouble for sure, and they are bringing the fight to him.
Here
They've read this. This is what Imperial have set up so many a time, and there's the spot. Bolt gets the molly down. Does he live? He does not. A smoke in. They're just going to funnel on through. They see nothing else here, knowing that that's Bolts. They've taken this space. The rotation is on, though. Fer is in the angle quickly. The smoke is on. He will find 1. A TK on it. 60 was limping. They still have this sight. They need to cross this bomb, but the swift response is here for Imperial. Madness, chaos, and now just B-Wills remaining. Imperial bet it all on a push through smoke, and their bet's paid off. It's paid dividends. B-Will will attempt the hero play. 3 targets to find, 18 seconds to do it. And they know where he's coming from. There's no way he's getting through this one. 1 more round. 1 more round. Imperial want more.
Oh my goodness. Cello pushing through the smoke with Fur, but Cello's the one to do all the damage here. I think a flashbang was thrown by Fallen, and it was so very chonky in terms of how many players it blinded. There you go. 17th found for Imperial. And again, need to talk about how much Fallen does for his team. Those flashbangs coming into this in 6 maps, 1.31 average thrown flashes per round, which is an insane number. And a 0.79 success rate. That means he's flashing 0.79 opponents per flash thrown.
Well, he's going to need some more of those flashes right here, and he's going to need some more of those frags. 25 kills to his name. He has come alive here down the stretch when it's mattered most, but it's Cello who tops the board, the new addition. And now it might be Vinny they need something from here in this apartment setup. He's alongside Fallen, and he's going to get his.
Clean.
Easy shot. That's exactly what they were hoping for on the setup. And now heavy presence towards A. This is where the 1-4 works beautifully as Nouns attempt to exert some control, and Imperial.
Fallen.
They're going looking. Fallen's found a gun barrel. He's got one. He's not traded. He's out. He's out. That one is free. Now everything is working in favor of this Brazilian squad. Fur holds the line here towards Arch. They've got the op shifting around. George has found some space at the hay cart, but the positioning in apps from Vinny is going to be so tough to deal with. Vinny down.
That's key.
This might open up possibilities here, but George is collected. Cello does his job. And they're holding the line. Rotation coming back through. Time getting short. 35 seconds. They have to kill Cello here, and they know it. Hoping he'll poke back in. Hoping he'll poke into the op. A flashbang to help him with the reposition. And utility and reinforcements now on. A drop into the pit and another period of overtime. Imperial do it again. Battling back against Oblivion.
Wow, I thought Fallen, I was like, how did he miss that shot? He didn't. It hit a leg. Then B-Wills ended up getting finished off. What a hold. I mean, Cello with a critical frag at a juncture where if Nouns gets him down to the ground, it's probably curtains on that A side or close to it. It's much more contentious. Instead, he settles things down, and then Fallen is able to support with the big green. So we are indeed headed for double OT here. Nouns, no stranger to it. They had a crazy match against El Plano. And now, well, they're back at it again here. And really, honestly, they're so resilient. I don't think it's going to bother them too much. They've had to fight again and again with map point in their favor.
We're past the hour mark on this map. Oh, Fur gets away, unpunished. 60 didn't quite find the spacing to catch that kill, but top banana has been established and it's pulled the third rotator over as well. So this is becoming an endurance game, and it's just the first map of the series. 2 ways to think about that. One, youthful exuberance can keep you fighting for a long time, but the other, experience, stamina, tells you how to battle when it's all on the line, where the rounds start stretching out. For now, Imperial, all 5 alive, comfortable in their sets, lower on the utility, 50 seconds to play with. Based on the posturing, it seems like Nouns might still fancy this B hit. The bomb's being left alone. Uh-oh. No. That's just to hold the rotation. They're going to go towards A, and it's all about the pit here. It's all about the pit. Vinny and Cello, pit in the balk. That's all they've got on this side of the map, though the rotation is starting to develop. Imperial coming around, maybe just in the nick of time. If this rocks up short, though, it's going to be major trouble. Oh. They need to get some kills here. They need to get some kills. Vinny with the cheeky spot. He's found one. Cello's been lost, though. It leaves Vinny alone. First rotator in. Dead. Down. Done. Dusted. Vinny holds the line. Hangs on to his spot. The bomb has to be planted here. They've got no time to spare. And indeed it will be. With no margin for error these last couple of kills. It's all on to Cynic now. And he's overwhelmed. Vinny steps up in the biggest moment of the map yet for him.
Wow, unbelievable stuff there from Imperial on the retake. A 2v2, critical frags coming through from Vinny and leaving Fallen a little bit of space to come in on that site, deliver the first one, and almost simultaneously Vinny spots out the second from the pit. There you have it. Imperial are in the lead for the first time in a very, very long time here on Inferno. They want to close this one out and cap off what has been an incredible comeback.
Indeed. It's been what? 10 rounds since they started this comeback? 15 rounds on the board?
At least.
Points?
Yeah.
A trade there early. Fur tries to take the initiative. He only gets one. The answer is swift. of the heavy hitters taken out. This splits the defense, the 2-2, though Bolts is coming back to adjust it. They'll actually fall in alone with that AWP. We've seen this once or twice. Now he's going to have to deliver. He does exactly that. 60. Anticipating a duel with a rifle. Well, it's a little bit more than he was bargaining for.
George waiting around mid here. Only 3 players left standing for Nouns. George below half health, and he has been the player that has really powered Nouns forward with his fragging ability. Nearing 40, in fact, here, as we're in double overtime of Inferno. Jasmine lining up the smoke for the cross and, well, decides against it for the time being. They're still not sure if they want to throw it just yet because there's a smoke geysing off their vision for the time being. B-Wills and the rest of Nouns, they're postured now. They have to go for this one. 35 seconds left. Indeed, there is a full belt of util for Bolts and B-Wills on the other side. So we'll see who will use that more effectively. Bolts going to stall them a little bit longer. 25 seconds left on the clock. They absolutely need to. They need to dedicate one of those smokes, the last one, in fact, but it's going to end for them here. Bolts and Fallen get 3 combined. Here we go, Imperial on for the map.
For once, the clock is Imperial's friend. It has pestered them so many rounds in regulation. It has been their foe, the ticking of the seconds. But here, it helps them out. It forces Nouns into a tough situation, and Nouns cannot overcome.
Got ahead of myself there. Not on for the map yet, Mike.
Not on for the map yet. Not on for the map yet, but it is a lot of excitement. 2 rounds already found on the CT side. A 2-round lead. Has to have Imperial feeling comfortable for once in this entire map. And Fallen wants more. Fallen wants map point. He's hunting for it. That AWP is heating up, and he's looking for the fray. They want to pressure. They want to bring the heat, but they cannot get past. They cannot get past these crosshairs. One after another, they fall. Finally, Bolts is answered upon, but a 2v4 now, and Fallen still holding court. The Professor is in. And it's time for him to educate these young pups on what it truly means to play in overtime. Fur boosted up, will deal out his own lecture, and the bomb's been dropped into the cross. A desperate situation for Cynic. A 1v4. A hopeless scenario. Players all around him, bullets flying in, and we've got map point for Imperial.
Yeah,
3 chances.
Now they're going to be able to close it out, Mike. So they'll have 3 opportunities. Like you said, a clean sweep in the first half of the second overtime.
A clean sweep.
And they're looking to talk things over. The comms have started to light up on the Imperial side. Fallen, trying to motivate the troops, get them organized here on the T side. What will the execute be? B was their friend in regulation on T side. This time, Nouns, I mean, we're usually just leaving 1 player here. But this setup so far has 2 in position.
Look at this heavy apps presence. We haven't seen a whole lot of this. Fur has held court here for the most part. Everything could rest on this. Does Fur make the first move? Or do they play into his hand? He's waiting right now like a spider at the center of his web, waiting for some sort of a tremor to let him know where his prey rests. This smoke might be the first little twinge. Fur checked up on. He's got the kill through the wall, looking for more damage. So much damage done by Fur, even if he doesn't get that kill. But George is back on the scene, and that's what they needed, an advantage. But it propels players further in towards B, because seeing George here, they know that 60 is likely alone. The Molotov's late. The damage is done. It might section out players, but one's already crossed. They can take this forward position. They can wait for the util to fade, and now they can plant that bomb down to dirt. The retake will be on, an advantage for it, and they don't want to waste any time. But Vinny finds a critical kill, a second as well. Vinny stepping up when they need him most. Once again, Cynic and Jazz Pimp. And Cynic's not even in position. He's going to need to come in to set up some nades to help his teammate to get around the corner. Bolt maybe burning, but the flames won't spread. It's all on to Cynic, and he can do no such thing. Imperial, a battle back, a comeback of epic proportions, and now up 1-0. They are still fighting at IEM Road to Rio.